Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday morning practitioner call. This is a special call for me as we work with practitioners and we talk about the Lifewave technology. And we actually talk about all the technologies for practitioners in this call, as we find that the practitioners have a toolbox to help their clients. And so Lifewave has many tools that help practitioners in that box. And so this call always starts with myself and Dr. Patty. She is an MD. And then we do round robin, we share testimonials, we talk about more than one technology, and then other practitioners pop in and also share. So this is a real exciting call. So Dr. Patty, let's just start with you and me. And I'd like everyone to hear first who you are, when you became a medical doctor, where you got your degree from, and really the type of practice that you have currently, and then a little bit about how you learned about this technology and why you're so excited about it.
Well, good. It's great to see everybody today. And some of us have met before, and maybe some of you are new. But I am a medical doctor. I went to medical school midlife, and I was a music teacher in my first life. I was just connecting with another Lifewave person this morning who is currently doing that as well as Lifewave. So it's very special. But I decided to go to medical school because I had some chronic health issues, and many of my family and friends did. And it seemed like Western medicine wasn't really treating those too well. So I wanted to sort of get those credentials from Western medicine. I went to Texas A&M, but I've always been interested and studied alternative medicine and holistic, regenerative, functional, integrative, whatever you want to call it. And so that is what I do today. I have a clinic in Southern California in San Clemente, and I also help to work with other clinics throughout the United States, and I do much remote with patients all over. So it's great to be here. And I got involved with Lifewave through one of my patients. I love to listen to my patients. I learn so much from them. We're in this journey of health together. And she told me about Lifewave patches, and my ears perked up, and her gynecologist had told her. So I thought, okay, I'm going to reach out and speak to her, and did, and tried them. And from here on out, it's been sort of a love story with Lifewave patches for sure for me.
Well, so Dr. Patty, let's start talking about the X39. This is really the workhorse of the line. If you're new to the call, this is a stem cell activation patch. And when you open up the patch, it looks like this. Yes, it looks like a Band-Aid. It's pretty funny because it is a wearable light technology, and it's sticky like a Band-Aid, and inside is organic crystal, and that reflects our own light. And that light acts like something called photobiomodulation, which is light making change in the body. And this patch actually elevates a peptide in your body called GHK peptide, which activates your stem cells, makes more stem cells, and resets your stem cells to a younger, healthier state. And you just put it on your body like this. Can you imagine? I think, Dr. Patty, we have moved from pharmaceuticals to supplements to real food, now to light. Like, it just keeps getting better in the world.
It does.
So why don't you tell me, Dr. Patty, exactly why this patch, which is activated by light, which stimulates GHK peptide, which activates your stem cells. Why is activation of stem cells so important?
Well, as we get older, as we get in toxic environments, we get stressed and we get sick, our stem cells just drop. And so we start as a baby with probably trillions of them, who knows how many for sure. And by the time we get to be in our 60s, we have a very small amount left. We still have a few, but not too many, and they don't tend to work quite as well as they did. Those are our life-giving cells, and they can help our entire body, our organs, and our systems to work better. if we have stem cells that are working properly and we have enough of them. And so that's why I love this patch stimulates us to produce more stem cells and the current ones that we have to work better, to produce more active anti-inflammatory and regenerative compounds in our bodies.
So what does it mean? I've always heard, doctor, that stem cells are the only cells in your body that are changeable, which means that they can go and change into whatever cell your body needs for repair. And that's actually what was happening to us when we were 20. And then, as you said, we just don't, they go dormant. They're not dead. They're just dormant as we get older. So my question is, how do those stem cells work? You say a lot about, yeah, they act as honing birds. What does that all mean?
Right. So we know that when we're being formed in the womb, we have certain stem cells that are called embryonic stem cells. And those actually make our eye or make our kidney or our nose or whatever. After the baby's born and we enter into this world and we begin to grow and develop as children and teenagers and adults, our stem cells are mesenchymal stem cells. And so those stem cells that we have now as adults aren't going to activate our stem cells. It's not going to grow us another head or anything like that. Those are stem cells that can do what we call differentiate. What that means is that they can stimulate other cells in our body to do certain things because they release all these beautiful anti-inflammatory compounds. They release signals. And so as honing birds, it's like a signal. They know best to go to the areas of inflammation. And then they release the healing chemicals that only stem cells can do to activate our body into a much more youthful stage.
Well, I want to hear that again. I've never heard you say that quite like that. So stem cells are the only cells that can actually activate signals or chemicals or whatever that is in your body to tell your body it's time to fix this. Give me, that's kind of a remarkable statement. Explain that a little more deeply, doctor.
It is. So if you think about it, because of the signaling that stem cells have, and then we're talking now about mesenchymal stem cells, they know at this point they can't stimulate us to make another kidney. But what they can do is see, you tore your rotator cuff, you need repair there. And so they begin to move that direction. They begin to send out signals to our other healing cells like white blood cells, whatever we need to come to that area to heal it. And it's very beautiful the way our bodies are designed. And it helps us to repair our DNA. We know when we're young, we repair constantly our DNA. There are always little mutations that are happening. As we get older, we don't do that so well. And that's what can lead to diseases like cancer and heart disease. And so it's very important to have good DNA repair in our bodies. That's what we want.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because I think back when I was 20, okay, I don't know how many of you were 20 in the 80s, okay? Raise your hand if you were 20 in the 80s.
Exactly.
Raise your hand if you were 20 in the 70s. Raise your hand if you were 20 in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? We were all 20 at some point, right? So I remember when I was 20, like I had no gray hair. I had no wrinkles. I had the massive, remember when you had the massive eyebrows and you had so much hair, you didn't know what to do with women. Some of you guys might have been going the other way. I get that. But that's, I think what you're saying back then, those stem cells were working and they were telling your body, I feel like they were almost like, tell me if I got this right. When you're young, when you're 20, your body's like a symphony. And your stem cells are like the symphony leader. And then that leader just goes dormant. And you're saying that X39 basically gets the symphony leader working again. And now we're repairing like we did back in the 80s. Is that, am I understanding that right, doctor?
Absolutely. And that's just one part of it. If you think about all the things that we need in order for all of our pathways to work, whether it's our vitamin D or our glutathione for detox or our melatonin for sleep or our serotonin and our endorphins for moods, it stimulates and helps every area of our body. It's really beautiful.
Wow. And doctor, you know that this patch activates stem cells through activating in the blood a peptide called GHK copper peptide. And if you go to startx39now.com, that's startx39now.com, we've been updating our site. It's now international. We have more countries on. You may want to take a look. And we also have all of our wonderful informational podcasts listed on startx39now.com, like the practitioner call, if you want to see it for yourself or share it with your folks. So X39 stem cell activation patches activate GHK copper peptide, which actually activates the stem cells. And if you go to startx39now.com under research and patents, you'll see that David Schmidt, the owner, inventor, and CEO of Lifewave, actually is a researcher. And he loves to invent. And we have 100 patents and 100 research studies. One of the patents is a 20-year patent on X39. And you can print that patent off if you're a practitioner, because if you are like Dr. Patty, she researched everything. And you can see that it does say X39, the patent, activates GHK in the bloodstream, which activates your stem cells. So Dr. Patty, what is GHK copper peptide? Why is it important? How are you using it in your clinic? And now what are you doing in your clinic?
Well, I find it really fascinating that David Schmidt sort of started with this peptide to focus on, because that's the peptide that is sort of used first, I would say, or at least primarily with one other peptide in the regenerative world. And so what we mean by a peptide, it's just a very short amino acid chain in the body that we make naturally to help our body do certain things. GHK copper peptide pathway is a very regenerative pathway. So we get a lot of benefits from using it, whether it's sleep or energy or sense of well-being. These are the very things that happened to me when I first used the X39, literally the first day and night. So it's a powerful peptide, but it's something our body makes, not as much of as we get older, sicker, and in toxic environments. So it's wonderful that that can be stimulated, not with peptides from the outside in, but our own peptide pathway.
So were you doing peptide injections in your practice?
We were, and peptide injections of GHK copper are still available. They're about 3 times as expensive as the patch, and you have to inject with a little, like an insulin syringe, tiny little needle every day for a month, and then you cycle it. And many people don't want to inject themselves with a needle. And so it was a limited availability. Some of my patients said no, but I loved it and I thought they should do it. When I found out we could do it with a patch, I was just so pleased. And today we're not trying to heal any diseases or treat any diseases. We're just sharing with you our own experiences about the power of GHK copper and stem cells.
So let me ask you, that's a really great question. So what about, were you doing stem cell injections at one time in your clinic?
Yes, absolutely. Through IV and intranasal and joints. We're not able to do that anymore as of about a year and 3 months ago, per the FDA. So we haven't been able to do that. And again, when I saw that this option was going to be available like this, I wasn't sure at all it would be effective. But as I looked at all the research, I listened to David Schmidt's videos, I talked to other doctors that are involved in Lifewave, I became convinced, because it was working so well in my body and my husband's body. I thought, I've got to share this with my patients.
Wow, that's incredible. What an incredible story. As a medical doctor coming and treating holistically with cutting edge treatments, not that we cure, treat, or diagnose disease, but within your clinic, you are doing many cutting edge practices. And then all of a sudden, here comes light therapy, and it kind of acts as a new tool for you versus injection. I mean, that's really what's happened in your clinic.
Right. And the thing is, I always look at two things when I'm sort of vetting a product or a procedure or whatever. And it's safety first, and then what we call efficacy, or is it going to be effective? And so the thing about the Lifewave patches, after looking about the photomodulation therapy, I realized, well, it's basically perfectly safe. Maybe a few mild problems, but mostly just 99.9% safe. How amazing. But then it can't possibly be effective. And then when you realize it is so effective that almost 90% of all of our patients and clients will have a good response within a few months, or maybe even that first day, it's just sort of a no-brainer for me to use it, you know.
So let's talk a little bit about the way the patch activates in your body, the method of activation. Let's talk a little bit about light. So this patch, once again, is a form of wearable light technology or photobiomodulation, which means light reflects back in this patch. It's non-transdermal. There's no stem cells going into your skin from this patch. It's all light activating your own body to produce GHK copper peptide, which activates your stem cells. So doctor, let's talk about light as a modality. I mean, it's kind of new for most of us. You know, I talked about, well, there's different categories of what we use to repair. We have pharmaceuticals, we have supplements, we have food, and we have light. Explain this category of light, like blue light and red light sauna, lasers. Like there's all this category. And I'm telling you, doctor, this category of light is also in mainstream offices, like every single physical therapy office, because, you know, I broke my hand. By the way, look at that hand. I'm doing pretty good. I broke my hand, so I go to PT, and they have all these light therapies as well. So what's the new thought in the practitioner group about this thing called light?
Yes, for me, and I'll look forward to hearing what others have to say, but red light is a very healing frequency, and our body emits red light. You put the patch on a specific energy meridian or place in the body to deflect that light back into the body to stimulate that pathway. So it's a very natural way of working, just like we go outside and we get sun, and that activates our vitamin D pathway in our body. So it's a very natural way to work in our body with that red light therapy. Many of you may go to the gym and you see a red light bed. It actually helps your muscles not to be so sore and a quicker recovery from workouts. Same like Marci said with physical therapy. So it's a great light to tap into for healing for our bodies naturally.
You know, and it's interesting because David says that when you activate with light, it's like it knows exactly what you need. You know how sometimes you might take too much of a supplement, you might overeat that food, but with light, it activates. Like we'll talk in a moment about another one of his patches called Silent Night, which activates melatonin. But he says when you activate with light, it activates to what you need, not too much, not too little. And so there must be something. Humans must work really well with light, doctor. Like we are in tune with it, I suppose. Yes. Oh, and you're muted. Hold on, you're muted. Let's unmute you.
Yes, exactly. I didn't really know much about light therapy, and I began to hear about it from a friend of mine who was using it with her daughter that had some special needs. And it sounded so involved, and I got a book about it, and it just, you know, it was just so many things I had to do and buy and set up in certain places to get that benefit. This is what's so amazing, is that, you know, one patch that we can put somewhere and it can make a difference because it activates our pathways using our natural light. So it couldn't be, in my opinion, a more safe and effective way to go.
It sounds like David figured out how to make the complicated easy, didn't he?
I know. It's
Kinda
it's
neat.
very, very unique and unusual. He's one of the most amazing people I think many of us have ever met.
Well, and I would say, Dr. Patty, we've all, of course, what's exciting is David owns his company, right? He's owned it since 2005. And he started actually with the first patch called the energy enhancer, which turns fat into energy. And it also activates your mitochondria, which happens to be that powerhouse of every cell in your body. And he did that because the Navy SEALs came to him and said, David, we know you are an inventor and we need something to keep our guys up at night without stimulants. That was really the beginning of his company in 2005. And he has been creating these technologies ever since. And honestly, it was going okay. His company was doing about 30 million a year. It's solid, but it was little. And it's, I believe, because people didn't understand light. He was ahead of his time. But in 2018, X39 came and people started realizing that light was a real practice and that stem cells could be activated through light. And now the company is doing over 300 million. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like, I think we all caught on. So that's kind of exciting. And Dr. Patty, I remember her telling me about a month ago, she said, Marci, I found YouTube with David Schmidt. I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, I went to startx39now.com and I saw the tab for Lifewave YouTube channel. And I clicked it and I started searching everything with David's name in it. And his name, by the way, is David Schmidt, if you are a health practitioner and want to do what Patty did. So Marci, what I did is I searched David Schmidt and X39, David Schmidt and energy, David Schmidt and Eon. We'll talk about some of these other patches. David Schmidt and Alavita. She goes, did you know that he does our videos on the technology of every patch? I've learned so much. And so you too can go to startx39now.com under the Lifewave YouTube channel tab and just search David Schmidt and you'll see all sorts of patches that you can research. Dr. Patty, let's move into some of the personal issues that you've dealt with, because not only are you a doctor, but you've also had a lot of health crises, or I like to say symptoms of issues yourself. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of times we think, well, if you're a doctor, you must have no issues because you're a doctor, but that's not true. We're all humans and we have stuff. And what you have done as it relates to the patches to help some of those symptoms. And we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So, as we are healers, then we can help heal not only ourselves, but be on a journey with others to help them in their healing journey. And I sometimes laugh and say my body's a bit of a petri dish for autoimmune diseases. And the current one I have symptoms for is multiple sclerosis. And those symptoms can be pretty severe, including quite a bit of pain. And also such high sensitivity that it's hard to take supplements. And that's why I love the energy enhancer that Marci mentioned earlier, because it's a mitochondrial stimulator. And that is one of the problems when you have autoimmune disease, your mitochondria just aren't working. And I've never been able to take those big mitochondrial supplements that are out there that I think can be great for some people, but too harsh for me. This stimulates my body. Same with glutathione. Glutathione, I could not take as a supplement. It made me too weak. My muscles just got very weak and I couldn't do it. And I tried all different kinds. But this I can take. And now I started out doing just a half a patch, an hour or two a day, and I built up. And so I'm actually using it now. I love it so much for pain. When you just use it and pair it with X39 or with the ice waves, it's really, it gives you an even greater level of pain reduction, and let alone the detox and the high antioxidant it is. So those are good reasons for me that I have found so much help and benefit, let alone with the X39, because of course that's what I started with. And it's our support patch that we need like a vitamin every day. I'm totally convinced that, in 49 as well.
Wow. Well, you just opened up some fun conversations that I'm going to dive into, because we hardly ever talk about energy. And we're going to talk about energy right now, because it's important. Oh, I got chills. It's important. So let's just take a look at this patch. So this is what Doctor's talking about. This was the very first patch in 2005 that David Schmidt ever created, the beginning of his company. And it turns out that it's awesome at providing energy without stimulants, right? There's nothing going in here. You just have a brown patch and a white patch. This is one of two of his patches that are a 2-patch system. So you always put the white patch on the right side. Let's see if I can do that. You see right here as an example, and the left patch and the brown patch on the left side. You guys see how that goes? And what that does is it activates energy in your body. It actually activates the mitochondria, or the powerhouse of every cell. Did you know that mitochondria is a super important powerhouse of every cell? And if your mitochondria is dysfunctional, you're not going to be doing so well. And I read a book recently, and Doctor, you can maybe explain this better, but mitochondria actually, I believe, is like came into our body at like early on, like when we were first being whatever, and it actually may be like separate than our own DNA. It's almost like a parasite or something inside that helps us. That might not be the exact same right word, but there's something special about mitochondria, and it's in every cell of our body. And it is the powerhouse of our cells, and we must have it functioning correctly. It's like life force for us, for our cells. So when it doesn't function right, we'll have issues. So this is super important. And the reason I want to talk so much about this is that my son, who has symptoms of autism spectrum, he actually has his brain loop a lot. So if any of you guys understand that, he's 24. When he was little, it used to be STEM behaviors where he'd just like look up the light all the time, or he'd look at the fan spin, or you know, that kind of take tennis balls in and out. They called them STEM behaviors. Well, now that he's 24, those STEM behaviors turned into thought stems, where he'd have the same thought. He has about 5 same thoughts. His cell phone, what's on his cell phone? What's on his cell phone? You know, where's his wallet? Where's his wallet? Where's his wallet? Where is it? You know, it's just these weird stems. It takes over his life to where he can't just go on the beach and, like most of us, just enjoy the sun and let the brain relax. My son has no relaxation of thought, and the thought is the same cycle of thought. I'm not kidding you. He started wearing energy patch, and it started to take that repeat thought away. And now he wears all his patches to bed. And he's 24. And so, of course, we have all the different spots we recommend. But a 24-year-old man, he grabs all my patches and he throws them all across his forehead. Boom, 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 boom. And off to bed he goes. And when he wakes up, he takes them all off. And he goes, Mom, I'm doing better. And one of the new ones that he started adding was the energy. And I'm so super excited. His favorite are the energy. He loves Silent Night. He loves X39, and he loves Glutathione and Nirvana. I would say those are his 5 favorites for him personally. And you would think, wow, that's a lot of patches, but he just throws them all on his head and goes to sleep. And it's pretty funny that, I mean, this is kind of bizarre, but he'll wear energy and Silent Night at the same time, which is interesting in its own right, right? Interesting. But that's my kid is just plays by his own rules. But he did tell me the other day, Dr. Patty, that I feel like crying, but he said, Mom, you know, because we do a combination of pharmaceutical and natural for him. We just do our best. I'm just being honest. We do our best for him. And sometimes he's off and sometimes he's on. But the other day he said, because we had to up one of his pharmaceutical meds for the cycling. And he said, Mom, I know we're upping that medicine, but I don't think it's the medicine that's really doing it. I think since I started really wearing the patches every night and being consistent, like I always wake up better. Anyway, I don't know why I'm sharing all of this, but it's super sweet. Does X39 increase growth of tumors? No, I'm going to show this to you because I'm also a breast cancer survivor and I've been in remission now for a year. Stage 4 breast cancer in the skin. So I'm chronic. So staying in remission is like not always easy for people like me. So I'm pretty proud of being in remission and start X39. What did I say the other day, which was so true? I really just want to be here, right? I want to be here. So because of that, I wear X39, Eon, and Glutathione for myself. And the reason I wear X39 is because I actually did the research on age reversal with GHK. And look what it says. It has anti-cancer actions. GHK copper peptide is the #1 peptide injection that actually treats metastatic colon cancer. GHK helps to do programmed cell death of human cancer cells, human neuroblastoma, leukemia, and breast cancer. But it did not affect healthy cells. GHK suppresses sarcoma in mice. GHK inhibits P65, which is believed to promote cancer. It repairs damaged DNA at a cellular level. GHK copper induced cell differentiation, reset 84 genes to growth inhibition of cancer. Oh, look at there, lung protection too. Anti-inflammatory protection. I mean, when I read what this does, I realized that X39 activates GHK copper peptide, which is cancer protective, and then activates my stem cells to go and repair everything that chemo destroyed in my body. That's what I believe for myself personally. In addition, then I put on something called Eon. I mean, I guess we're just doing it right now. Eon activates a peptide that reduces inflammation. And inflammation is an eater of stem cell. So if you can reduce inflammation, then the inflammation can't eat the stem cell that you're activating with X39, which makes the X39 work. You know, it turbocharges the X39. So these are very good. And then, of course, Dr. Patty talked about glutathione. Glutathione, this patch is no joke. You'll detox on glutathione because we're so toxic. And glutathione activates your glutathione pathway, which is your detoxification pathway and your antioxidant pathway. Antioxidants eat the free radicals that cause cells to misfunction, right? Glutathione gets rid of all the toxics, all the freaking Roundup that's all over the earth now. It's going to help get rid of that. But our bodies have absorbed a lot of bad stuff. So Dr. Patty says for her, she would wear half a patch, never cut it. You can just unstick it. You see, they're like sticky. And you just wear half. And you can wear it for 3 hours. And then the next day, wear the other half for 3 hours and work your way up with glutathione. Many people with glutathione will detox through a headache. You may have diarrhea because you're getting all the toxins out through defecating. You may, it may push out of your skin. So don't freak out. No, it's getting it out. And eventually you can work your way up to 1 patch a day. And no, the only rule on these patches are 12 hours on to activate and repair and 12 hours off. Let me say that again. 12 hours on to activate and repair and 12 hours off. because we are a light signal. And if you wear it 24 hours over and over and over again, your body gets used to the signal and then it doesn't work very well. But you can wear, every patch has its own 12-hour clock, and you can wear more than one. My son wears 5 at night, right? But most people wear some during the day and some at night. Most people wear Glutathione and X39 during the day because they're the most intense patches. And then Icewave gets rid of pain. So that can be worn during the day if you have pain, or at night if you have pain. Eon puts your body in rest and digest. That's a great evening patch, as an example. So you get to decide. And David Schmidt explains where to put the patches on your body. But any spot will do. Your whole body's light. So, like, don't get yourself too worked up. Just get it on your body. My son just gets it on his body because my doctor friend, who's an MD like Dr. Patty, said, what normally does you in is that you're not compliant on what you're supposed to be doing. So put the patch on so you're compliant. So I'm going to show you one other graph here, which is, this is from startx39biz.com. This is our business site. And the reason I'm showing you this, because you can go to this site and you can go to a tab. There's lots of engines here, and it's under tab 9, take the order. And what you do is you can go right to the one page all products and text it to yourself so you can read it later, or send this to some of your practitioner friends, because this is really great. In one paragraph, it tells you what each patch does and the recommended placement. So this is fine. You're okay to understand that, you know, this is the beginning of your learning, but this one page is very, very helpful. So Dr. Patty, let's go back to, we were talking symptoms of MS. And we already talked about energy. You talked about glutathione. You talked about X39. We have not talked about Icewave. Let's talk a little bit about Icewave and how you wear it and why.
So Icewave was actually the patch that my patient was wearing in addition to the X39. And she had had some dental work done and had quite a bit of jaw pain. And the Icewave had been very helpful in combination with the X39. So that's what perked my ear, especially because I had a lot of pain at night from my MS symptoms. And so I began to wear the Icewave first night, and I read all about it, looked at it on the website, lots of different ways to patch and use it, in particular for whole body, because mine is a whole body pain. And so I put one on the white on the right and the left, brown on the left, under the bottom of my feet, sort of like in that little pad there that you have. And I put then 2 more patches where it suggested, and it had you start at the wrists and then move to the elbows and then ultimately up to the shoulders for that second pair of patches. Again, white on the right, brown on the left. And so the first night I started at the wrist, and it was unbelievable, about 50% reduction. I just couldn't even believe it. And I thought, well, that probably won't last another night, but you know, it did. And the next night I thought, okay, I'm not going to be greedy, but let's try another place like it suggests. So I did, and I put it up on my elbows, and it was about 80% reduced. And just a few nights ago, I learned that I could even try adding glutathione with the Icewave right here. So I tried that, and I'd say I got about another 10, 15% out of that combination. So I do now, bottom of my feet. I sometimes do my elbows because that's pretty good, but my favorite place is my shoulders right back here. And that way I'm covered from here to the bottom of my feet. And it's pretty awesome how my pain is relieved so much that I can rest and sleep much better.
So let's talk about Icewave. So this is what she's talking about. It's a 2-patch system like energy. These energy and Icewave are the only 2-patch system. Every other patch like X39 is just one. And I like to say that with energy and Icewave, think about it like, have any of you ever had a car battery that's gone out, right? And you got to charge it, and you got to have the negative charge and the positive charge on. This is like Icewave, right? Or if you're a practitioner and you've ever used one of those stim machines and you have the positive and negative to stimulate the muscle. Well, those are charges. So Icewave and energy are charged like that. And so when Dr. Patty says you put the brown patch on the pain spot, the white patch 3 inches away, David says that pain is in the connective tissue and it breaks the connection of pain. That would be like popping the spot. Like for me, I broke my hand about 6 weeks ago, and this part of my wrist has been in a lot of pain. So what have I been doing? Well, I'll just kind of give you a demo. You put the brown patch on the pain spot. The white patch I put about 3 inches away, right? And that would be the Icewave. And then I would do an X39 and an Eon. And X39 would help repair. Eon would stop inflammation, and Icewave breaks the pain. So Icewave is like a pain band-aid. It gets rid of the pain, but the X39 and the Eon are actually repairing. Eon by stopping inflammation, and X39 by doing the stem cell repair. So I like to call this particular combination, and I'm just showing you right now, there's my X39, right? Here's my Eon. I like to call this the pain and repair protocol for practitioners. Right there, you just pop the spot. And this wrist has been so much more inflamed than this wrist because this is where it broke. And when I wear these at night, and when I get up in the morning and I take these off, I still have big circles, like indentions and indentations, because it's still working at all the inflammation. Like I can see it working, which is pretty amazing. So Dr. Patty with symptoms of MS has full body pain, where I have spot pain. Full body pain, what's she doing? Putting them on the balls of her feet and putting them on her shoulder blades or shoulders. And what it seems to me is she's blocking a full body of pain. Would that be right, Patty? I mean, we're both blocking pain. We're just blocking different spots. Would you say that's truth?
Exactly. And this way, it's almost like a covering for the whole body when you do that. But I have a sore wrist myself. And today I've got my X39 and my Glutathione here. And they're also very helpful because I wear Icewave at night. And so I've been looking for things even during the day that could be helpful. So absolutely.
Ask you about that, because you must know something about glutathione that I don't know, because you keep saying you're throwing glutathione on to help with pain. So in your opinion, here's glutathione. My wrist is hurting right now. You would say add one of these on. Why?
So I just had found out in looking in a particular patching protocol that I had seen that the recommendation was to add glutathione in the palm of the right hand. And so for whole body pain. So then I thought, and since it did help about 10 to 15%, like I said a while ago, I thought I'm going to try that on my wrist, because all the patches that are sort of what we call our support patches officially aren't supposed to necessarily be the repair, right? That's the X39 and 49. But glutathione, from my medical mind, I was thinking that has the ability to repair, because if it can detox areas of inflammation, that might really be helpful. So I just sort of had that idea. And then I tried it on my wrist, but I paired it with the 39. And boy, it's amazing that today how good it is with that. I've also found carnosine to be very helpful too, in combination with X39.
Why? What? And I don't know if I was looking for carnosine to show off, but I don't have it. I used my last carnosine. So why is carnosine helpful? What is carnosine?
So carnosine also is, I think, one of the most important patches that we have. And I love, Marci, how you had said, I'm from early on, I heard you say that often you will put it sort of right here in your chest by your heart, because we know it's very important for cardiovascular health. And it is probably one of the greatest repair substances that I think we have for the body. And people use it a lot for muscle repair. And the reason it's so good with cardiology is because the heart is a muscle. And so if we can have our major organs working properly, it makes sense that they might be helpful in local areas too. So what I've loved about the patches is that I really follow the patching protocols that I see, but I found there are many different ones. And our bodies are different, and women's bodies are different than men's, and younger bodies are different than older bodies. We know we change all the time. And I love the art. It's not just a science. So I love that we have that option. Now, David Schmidt makes very clear that the studies have been done with X39 and 49, basically in two places, right? Behind our neck and 2 finger widths under our belly button. And so I know that that's important to follow as well. But I just find that sometimes experimenting can be very fun. And I love that art in addition to the science.
I do too, doctor. And we are going to talk about 2 more patches in the next 5 minutes, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. We've never asked doctor questions. And so if you have some questions, write them on a piece of paper, think about them, and know we will, and you can unmute yourself in a moment to ask the questions. But Dr. Patty, X49, I heard you say this is also this is your other favorite as the workhorse of the line as X39. And this is a stem cell patch. X39 and X49 are the 2 stem cell activation patches in the line, where all the other patches support other processes in the body. Why do you like X49?
Well, I figure if I've got 2 ways to stimulate stem cells and pathways in my body, I want to do it, because I know that GHK copper is very powerful. I had never heard about AHK copper, which is what the X49 stimulates. The A is just 1 amino acid change. So it's alanine, AHK, and the GHK copper is glycine. So it's just 1 change, but it's powerful because it can focus a little bit more on performance, meaning workouts and recoveries and keeping our bones and our muscles strong and converting fat into muscle. I just think that most patients that we have and clients are absolutely wanting all of the above. And so I think that it can also be a great tissue repair as well. So I use it, and I feel like it's my vitamin as well as 39.
Interesting that you said your vitamin as well as X39. So that means that this is something that will be a protocol for you. You're not stopping X39 and X49 is what I hear when you say vitamin.
Oh, no, absolutely not, because that's the foundation. And I explain it that way to my patients. I really don't want you spending money. They'll maybe see Icewave and go, oh, I just want to get Icewave. And I say, I don't want you just to spend money on that, because we don't have studies by itself in the kind of way that I want this to work for you. I want you to combine the 2 and get that synergy and get the best bang for your buck and the most efficacy while you're doing it. And most patients, well, all patients and clients, I think, need more than just fixing pain. What we're wanting to do, and what I do, is we're always trying to get to the root cause. I don't want to just keep treating my wrist pain. I ultimately want to get my body so healthy that it won't get wrist pain, right? And so that's what all of us are doing with our patients and clients too, is treating the root cause. And X39 and 49, I think, are that foundation.
I understand. And tell us what is silent night, and why is light activating, or not having light activating for melatonin? And what's the importance of melatonin for the body? And you're muted. Okay, there you go. Yes.
Yes. So melatonin is what kicks in at night as our cortisol levels go down. So we know we have high cortisol in the morning, and that begins to go down throughout the day. And as it does at night, then our melatonin can sort of come up like this, right? And so what I found though with many patients, and I'm primary, is that when we take melatonin, it keys us up. I'm just like a bright little person instead of trying to sleep. And I've tried using very low dose, higher doses. I've tried using lozenges and creams and different forms, and I get the same result. So when I saw Silent Night, I thought, well, I won't be able to use that because that's got melatonin in it. When I was trying to understand that, no, none of the patches have any drugs, chemicals, anything in them, just stimulating my melatonin pathway. And so and David Schmidt explains it. And I've used this with patients just like myself that haven't been able to use melatonin before. And they can, because what does this do? It stimulates our pathway to work properly so that we get just the amount we need, not too little, not too much. That's like amazing.
Wow. I'll tell you, my son, he said that he said, it was so cute. He did a little Facebook post that I got to see. And he told everybody his favorite patch is Silent Night because when he wakes up, his brain is calm. And then his second favorite is energy because then once it calms down, it doesn't start the spin because of energy. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? It's like this combination of just the right melatonin and just the right mitochondria function, which is, sleep and energy. Anyway, I'm not a doctor. I was just a mother listening to what he was saying, right? So with that, Dr. Patty, we have about 5 more minutes. Does anyone want to unmute themselves and ask the doctor a question? If you do, this would be the time.
We have quite a few questions too on the chat.
On the chat, would you like to, maybe we just want to read the chat then, doctor? Do you see the chat to see some of the questions that may be on there? So, and if somebody...
I do. So the life of the injection, I think maybe you're talking about stem cells, and it depends, but could last anywhere from 6 months to 2 or 3 years. Most people needed a couple of years.
So Dr. Patty, I got the chat. I'm just going to read a few of them. Dr.
Okay.
Patty, talk about how soft tissue can be helped with X39.
So because X39 stimulates your body's muscles to behave better, we know that muscles are very involved in soft tissue. Because they are surrounded by soft tissue, right? And when muscles get tight, they pinch nerves and cause all kinds of problems. So X39 is reparative. And I think that then it has the ability to be reparative in that area. And it also reduces inflammation too.
So thoughts on, and I'm going to say symptoms,
okay,
because we don't heal, treat, diagnose any disease, obviously. So thoughts on what patches would be good for symptoms of bipolar or ADHD?
I think what Marci's been sharing about her experience, I haven't, treated that. I don't treat those conditions as often. But what Marci's saying about energy and Silent Night going together, that makes sense because we know ADHD medications often are stimulants, and you'd think that wouldn't be best, but that's what actually can be calming to some children's brains.
Wow.
So I like what you're sharing, and maybe you could go into the to our what do we use on our phone, where we can go in and actually type in like bipolar and see.
Oh yes, you can go to startx39biz.com under the tab Join Telegram and join our testimonial Telegram chat only. There's 3 years or 3,000 testimonials, and you can just search whatever you want, MS, ADHD, heart disease, and you can hear real people with real experience or real testimonials about what's going on with them. But I would say for symptoms of ADHD and brain symptoms, I would say X39 always. I think Dr. Patty and I would say the base for all of these would be X39 always, Eon then for inflammation, glutathione for detox, and I would add energy and silent night now. And you're going to have to watch both of those. Energy could be really good or it could be overstimulating depending on the child. Silent night mostly will be, it's just good. The energy would be the only one you'd have to look at. And my son likes Nirvana, which actually activates the dopamine or the happiness in the brain. That one can be either really good or not. So the two that you have to watch are energy and Nirvana, depending on what's going on in the brain with your loved ones. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's talk about, there's one about osteo and rheumatoid arthritis. I'll take a shot at that. Symptoms of, I would say X39 stem cell activation, Eon for inflammation, glutathione to get the toxins off the nerves, and I'd say Icewave for pain. Thoughts on that, Dr. Patty? Does that sound, would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's great.
Okay, protocol for kidney stones. Once again, X39, Eon, glutathione, and I'd add carnosine for organ support. Thoughts on that?
I haven't treated anyone with kidney stones, so I'm not sure about that. I'd have to research that a little bit more. But what Marci said, you know, anytime you're not sure, I do have a patient I'm treating on dialysis. But you start with X39, see how it goes, how the patient's tolerating it, and then move forward with some of the ones that she suggested. Certainly Eon for inflammation.
And where do we learn more about patch protocol? Is there a book? There is a book, Healing with Light. You can go to startx39biz.com. Let me show you where you can find that. So startx39biz.com and you just go to the tab under Give a Gift, number 6. And then you go to Marketing Supplies. And this is our girl, Sally. It has the burst updated. And you click on that. And this is all sorts of great marketing supplies that Sally makes for us. She's our designer and our printer. She designs and prints everything, our business cards, our invites, everything on this site that looks pretty is Sally. It ain't me. I just get it up on the site. There's our envelopes, for example. And if you go all the way down, you can go to sorry, I'm getting there. The Self-Healing with Light book. And it's a 188-page spiral book. And you can order that through Sally and she will ship it to you. And the actual phone number is right here. So that should help with that. Okay, let's see if there's a few other questions. Which patches? Oh, patches for telomeres would be, help me on this. I believe carnosine is the protector of telomeres, Dr. Patty. I know that's one, but there may be a few other ones. Are there a few other protectors of telomeres? Telomeres are the lady fingers of the DNA. When your telomeres are long, you live. As your telomeres shrink and become nothing, that's really when we die. So you want your telomeres protected for longevity. And Dr. Patty, you're muted, honey.
Yes, I am, because there's a little noise outside. The telomeres, I think, yes, David Schmidt talks a lot about that with carnosine. And I've heard him say that have the patient take the carnosine 2 weeks every day straight, and then they can cut back to 2 to 3 times a week. So that's what I think everyone should do with carnosine, because we all want our telomeres to be longer. But certainly the rejuvenating of, you know, X39 and X49 make a difference. And again, we can't promise you anything, but it'd be interesting if some people would do telomere testing before and after and get back to all of us. I know David's done some of that too.
I have pancreas. I would say pancreas would be X39, Eon, carnosine for organ support, and glutathione for detox.
And you
So
can put the on sometimes different places in the body, wherever you're really targeting on that spot, so put it close to the pancreas and try that. Might be good.
this is, I use Nirvana for my 12-year-old grandson, and it eases his moods fabulously. I love Nirvana. Nirvana's no joke. X39 helps me with symptoms of ADD. It calms those racing, unfocused thoughts. What about X39, wearing it in the sun for a long day? Okay, so here's the thing. Remember, the sun doesn't activate these patches. Your own skin activates them. Your skin, you are the sun. Do you understand? We are little suns walking around. And so when I first started, I thought I had to like put my patch on and wear tank tops so the sun hit it, No, we are the sun. So your own skin the own heat or light, you have a low grade infrared light coming off your body. That's true because, the military uses night goggles to see people, right? So we emit light. I can almost see light coming off my body right here. It's weird, right? And so that is what activates these patches. That's why you can wear them at night. That's why you can like put them on under your shirt. The sun is not activating them. You are activating them with your own light of your body. Okay. Let's just go up and make sure that we got all of the questions. Oh, I hear carnosine is good for ED. Well, it's definitely going to protect organs, and that I believe would be an organ. Or maybe it's a muscle. I don't know. This is kind of going the wrong way. But also, I have stop laughing at me, Kathy Coker. I saw you. I've heard that X39 is like really good for that. It's the hormone balancer for men and women. So if you're looking for help with that, I would definitely pop on a X39, and glutathione too, because you're going to detox. So blood flows better, right? But X49 balances hormones, men, testosterone, men, and it helps with blood flow. I would think those would be two good things for ED. Dr. Patty?
Sounds good to me. I don't know any of that for sure, but it makes sense. And you couple that with a good diet, healthy diet, mostly plant-based, and I think that would be very helpful.
So Dr. Patty, it's 10:05. I think we answered all the questions in chat. That was a great way to end the call. I hope you all enjoyed our practitioner call. We have this every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, and we are so blessed that Dr. Patty comes to these calls, and she makes almost every one of them in her busy schedule. So thank you, Doctor, for always being with us. You are so knowledgeable. So with that,
you guys too.
Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next Thursday. Oh, today at 12:30 Pacific, we have Susan Allen, and he has our very favorite Martin from Portugal. And if you know, he is our hair analysis practitioner, and he is ex-military, and he speaks a lot on our practitioner calls about how the patches have helped his sensory system calm down. He's had a lot of oxidative stress to his sensory system. So don't miss that today at 12:30 Pacific. And then tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific, Dr. Stacy and myself do our 30-minute testimonial call. That invite will be sent out, but it is going to be an amazing testimonial. So don't miss that. Dr. Stacy has some amazing people on tonight. So we have a fun-filled Thursday for you. So we'll see you later today. And it's all, I should tell you this. Susan Allen is a different Zoom channel than this channel. So to go to Susan Allen's call at 12:30 Pacific, write this down. You go to zoom.us, and the Zoom ID is 798-842-5418. That's the Susan Allen, and that is with Martin Chilvers, and he is Oriental Medicine and Hair Diagnosis Analyst. And then tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific, it's this same Zoom channel that you're on today. With that, thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
Bless you. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.